There's some hoes in this house.
Okay, clap it.
Ole. I fucking told the Colombians, man, that they owe me some fucking money, man. That's what I said. You don't want to be like me. Or do you? Do you? Do you? Too? Yeah. What's up? How's everybody doing, man? You know what I thought? This podcast, it's been fun, but we need to spice it up a little bit. Spice it up and do it like the fucking Colombians would do it, man. Like, I want to do this podcast where I would want to listen to it. You know, and I was thinking about it. I've been thinking about it. Or it is app email sent. That's this Al Sharpton shit. Oh, dude, if you guys haven't watched this shit, you need to watch Al Sharpton versus the teleprompter. Probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's all the fuck-ups Al Sharpton's done in his career on a microphone. It's pretty damn dope, dude. It was Segoneyaye Weaver. Segoneyaye Weaver. He says, where was email sent? He was reading like something he shouldn't be reading on a teleprompter. Absolutely hilarious. Maybe I'll play a couple of the clips from that so you know what I'm talking about.
But resist we much. We must.
They're all jitty about a shutdown. The tortoise in the race, and co-author of Hubris. U2 lead singer Bono, Fran Drescher, Sigourney Weaver, suspect Jahar Tsarnaev, Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh. The show Rush Lombard hosts Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Is Mike Muckery yesterday, Antonin Scalia. Kim Kardashian and the Republican candidates. Okay.
Jay, do you think this camera is closer on our settings?
What do you mean? No,
Because it seems like just a slight head tilt.
this one.
Yeah.
This one's nice. No, this one's good,
Dude.
I put it closer so you won't have to do too much of a.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't want to put strain on your neck.
Yeah, please don't. There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house. That's, damn, we got to answer this call. Let's see, we got Lisa calling live. We're going to take it. You're live on the air.
Yeah, you're live on the air and nobody loves you. Dude, I forgot to tell you that Tony said that he would do an illustration for you, but it's going to cost like $80.
Oh, my God. Tell him I'm out. $80, that's highway robbery for a logo that I'm going to use for years and years and years to come.
Well,
You need to tell him that I have well over 3 listeners.
I know that you were absolutely expecting him to do it for free. That's why I said that to you.
Well, you know what? If you don't know me by now, you never, ever know me. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, I got to finish this podcast. Good night.
Good night.
All right. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting to where we want to be. A podcast that would be interesting to listen to. A slice of life, if you will. A slice of a life of somebody, you know, that is in a quarantine, is crazy anxiety ridden. I wake up, guys, and I feel behind. Immediately when I wake up, I feel behind 1,000%. And I don't know what it is, but something about waking up in the morning, I go, I got to do shit. And day hasn't even started yet, dude. And I might lay in bed for an extra 30, 40 minutes. These mornings, man, is that depression? Do I have depression? I was down for 2 or 3 days, but that's not fun to talk about. But I was down for 2 or 3 days, but that might be a post-cocaine induced down. Damn, dog. You know what's funny? I've been trying to get away from doing drugs. Been trying to be cleaner with my health and fitness, and I'll do great. I'll be on a month kick, doing good. 2 weeks kick, doing good. And then you get a little bit of booze in you. And guess who comes next? Little Mr. Cocaine comes knocking at your door. And you know what? As much as I think as I'm an adult, man, and you think you can call it how you want it and not say yes to shit, it's a struggle every time. And if you're living that struggle too, man, I'm right there with you. I got to try different things, you know, and then I go for weeks. I'm telling you, I go for weeks of living good and clean, bro. I'm like, nothing could stop me now. And I have one drink and I'm like, hey, this fucking party time. You know, the fucking Colombians owe me 25,000. You know, and then I'm fucking Tito Lugar and the Ramos brothers putting Nello and Gino away for life. Denny. You know what I'm saying? So I want to, dude, just kick that shit. And I know that, you know, I'm getting too old to be doing that shit, dude. And you shouldn't be even. It's because it's an evil drug. Cocaine is a hell of an evil drug, man. Because you feel like $1 million. And it's so deceiving. You might look like shit, but have the confidence of Brad Pitt. Yeah, dude, cocaine. It's a really ugly drug, man, because there's been so many times where I would have been on it and I'll be like, why am I here? In whatever place it is. But at the time, it seems like the best place you can be on earth. But then the next day, you'll be like, what the fuck was I doing? And why was I at this place for so damn long? Talking nonsense. And, you know, that if you want to talk about creativity killer, it's that stuff right there. The devil's dandruff. It ain't cool. But yeah, dude, in my youth, man, that shit was so fun. You know, you might go out and have a good time, and I could control it then, I guess, a little bit better because I wouldn't be up till, 5 a.m. or something. But nowadays, you cannot play with that shit, man. You play with that, it's like dancing with the devil. If you want to have a good time, be my fucking guest. But she's not going to leave you. She's not going to fucking leave you in a good shape, man. You know, if you fucking do the cocaine, man, you better have a lot of time, a lot of money, and a good source. Because they step on that chair, man. They step on that chair, man. And that's the thing with cocaine, dude. Because you put it in your goddamn nose, and you don't know where it's coming from, who's getting the shit. And who's stepping on? Everyone's doing a two-step now. You ain't getting no pure shit. This is flaky white, straight from the Colombians. No, it ain't. It's from Eduardo, who got it from fucking Javier, who sold it to fucking Scotty, who got it from Carlito, who fucking sold it to fucking Ejoba. Who the fuck is Ejoba? I don't know, man. He comes at night, man. He wears a mask. We don't say nothing, and he gives us the shit. And then that motherfucker steps on it, and then he's past the other guy. He two steps on it. The other guy gets a little more out of it, and he steps on it. Now, what are you snorting up your nose? Brick dust. You know? What are you snorting up your nose, bro? Foot powder. I don't know. Some dude's cocaine, man, fucking was so bad. I snorted that shit, and my athlete's foot went away. So you got to be careful, bro. So anyway, I'm not advocating cocaine. I'm telling you, it's a bad drug. And I'll tell you, I thought I was over it. But then every now and then, man, I'll be boozing it up and it'll be there. Because, doing what we do, sometimes it'll be there a lot. You'll be after a show and some guy, and you're on the high of the show, and then I'll be having a couple cocktails, and some guy's like, you want to bump? And that motherfucking devil is 18 feet tall, this one. And the little angel one, he's just got punched out by this guy. And he goes, you better take one, man. Next thing you know, you're in a fucking one-bedroom apartment in fucking South Scottsdale, snoring lines with this fucking guy and his girlfriend, talking about fucking when they used to have horses. Just nothing makes sense, dog. Nothing of it makes sense. But you'll be at it and just having a blast at the time. Yeah, dude, I used to have horses too, man. Yeah, when we were in Iran, man, my dad had Arabian horse. I'm telling people stories. I don't even know this guy, and I'm telling them about my dad's horses in Iran. Shit. Not gonna lie, I had some fun times on cocaine too, man. Went to medieval times, all coked out of my mind once. That was fucking blast. Hell yeah, bro, that was a blast. I was cheering for every night. Right before the quarantine happened, we went to medieval times. We took a friend of mine, Brian, this dude Brian, to medieval times, and we were on mushrooms. And that was the funniest experience ever. Because I started to think that I was in the time. You know, they were talking, and then we had dressed up Brian in a king outfit. And so he was like pretending to be a part of the show, you know, and I would keep looking at him, and I would look at the knights. And then I started to like really look at them and start thinking about their lives. I'm like, damn, is this really what they wanted to do? You know, like how could you even think that as a kid? Like, I want to be a knight. Like, dude, this ain't the fucking Renaissance. You know, this isn't the freaking medieval times, actually. So how do you even think, like, oh, I want to be that? So I'm like, oh, no, these guys were just like, maybe they were really dope on a horse. You know, like really good with a horse. And they're like, man, what's the next step? I guess I can work at medieval times. You know what I mean? Because this is unorthodox, bro. And then you work at medieval times for 8 years. And then you go to get another job. And they go, where's your previous employer? Medieval times. What the fuck? So I'm good with the lance. You dig? I'm really good with the lance. Get out of here, bro. What do you do with the freaking career at medieval times? You know what's the next step? Horse trainer? Equestrian? Archery? Do they do archery?
Yeah.
Some of them do archery, right, for the things. Dude, it was so funny, man. Yeah, we were there. Brian was in his outfit all the nights. And then, dude, I started to trip out, dude, because I saw a family. And I'm like, look at that. And I saw the lady, the wife of the husband, and then there's 3 kids. And I'm like, damn. And then the knights, they flirt with the girls, like all the girls.
Oh, yeah.
They'll throw a rose at all the chicks. They go, bitch. And they're really good at throwing the roses, like a long stem rose, and they aim it and they throw it at whoever you're with, dude. It could be your fucking fresh out fiance. And they'll just throw a rose and they'll like look at her. And then then some of them are like really into it. They'll start fucking doing this thing where they look like they're fucking, you know, they'll like show you like, I'm good in the sack. Like they'll start doing this thing with their hip. And they'll like they'll keep an eye on whatever girl, and they'll just go like this. It was hilarious. And I was with my homegirl, Courtney, a friend of mine. And so she was sitting next to me. So the guy, and she's my friend. And you know, if it was my girlfriend, I would have been pissed. I wouldn't want to fight the fucking Green Knight. That dude was fucking the shit out of her. And I was like, I was laughing. I was like, yeah. But if that was my girl, bro, I would be so upset. And Courtney was having a blast. And I looked at her and she goes, this is so dumb. But then she kind of got smitten. She was like, but he kept doing this thing with his lance. He'd go, and he'd like play around the little circle, but then not all the way do it. And he thought, oh, he's going to miss it. And then he'd stick it in at the last minute. And then I looked at Courtney and she'd go, oh. What a time, dude. So that was great. Oh my God. And the power went out. So we're on mushrooms, dude. And they're all doing this, hey, and welcome to the bullshit. And then the lights cut out, dude, halfway through the performance. And we're just like in the dark. And we go, damn, dog, what do we do now? And then they're just like, and it was dope. Like the guy that was supposedly like the king, he started to improvise and shit. It was awesome. He was like, sorry, folks. It was hilarious. He goes, sorry, folks, we have a little bit of a misdeed. I'm like, dude, drop the fucking character, bro. The lights went out. They didn't have electricity. They didn't even have electricity back in the day. So all this is all bullshit, right? And then we go, and then it was after the show. Oh, my God. So let me finish this part. So anyway, the family I was talking about, the lady, the wife in the family, I could tell was a little smitten by their night, you know, because they all come up and try to do the thing. And I could see her. She was like, haha. You know, she's getting a little hot and bothered. And then I'm continuing to look, and I'm like, because this is in Buena Park.
Buena Park.
So I grew up kind of around that area, you know, in Orange County. And I was looking at the family. I'm like, do I know that chick? She looked really familiar. And I ended up that I had gone to high school with this girl. I told a story about the few podcasts before where I kidnapped a dude who stole my amp. That was her ex-husband. Okay? That was her ex-husband that I told that story about. So now I'm telling another story, which is weirdly connected, that I'm watching this girl, but she's not with that dude anymore. And I didn't know that they were divorced, but I knew that they had been married. And she's with the husband. or a guy that's not the guy I know, and it's her and then 3 kids, right? Like a total family, adult family. And I'm over there, 5 degenerate friends on mushrooms. And I'm having this thought of how different my life is to that of my friends' lives. You know, all my friends back home, married, they have kids. And I feel like when I look at a picture of them, that just, it looks like an adult. But then when I look at a picture of me, I'm like, who is this guy? You know, like, who is this guy? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what's the path? Who's to say who's having more fun? Because there's times in my life where I'll be like, oh man, I wish I had kids, or I wish, you know, very, very fleeting thought of that. But it happens. It always happens. I'll be like, damn, it might be on like something when I'm kind of down or something. I'm like, damn, man, I wish I had, you know, like a dope family around me. You know what I mean? And then there's other times where I'm like, dude, I love my life so much, which is most of the time because, dude, I get to do whatever I want. You know, I wake up when I want and go to bed when I want, and I do the shit I want in between. That's kind of dope. Where you wake up when you want, you go to bed when you want, and you do whatever the fuck you want in between. Right? And you have fun doing it, and you have, you know, whatever you need. I have everything I need in this life. Even if I stop now in my career, or you know, as far as like monetarily what I was making or whatever, if dude, I made it when I was an open micer. In my eyes, I was like, dude, I get to do this all the time. Sure, I lived like shit, but I got to do what I wanted. You know, I didn't have a boss. I was never good with a boss. Ever good with a boss. I got fired from every job I had. I talk a lot about it in my stand-up about old jobs that I've had and how bad of an employee I was. And that's the damn truth, man. I was such a bad employee. Like, I was good for the customers, because they got hooked up. And I was good for myself because I made a little extra money. Yeah. But I was bad for the business. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I got to do something on my own. You know, and if you're watching this and you ever thought about doing it, I think the biggest regret in your life would be not to have tried. And I know we just switched gears and got kind of cheesy here, but I think it needs to be said. And if you need to hear it from somebody like me that does it, you know, it's like, dude, don't have that regret. My biggest fear was being, I've said this before, the funny guy at the water cooler, being 40 years old and just being the funny guy at work. You know what I mean? Like, I just saw my life going that way. You know, I'd be cracking jokes in the meetings and shit, going, getting my little fucking chuckles in. And I thought that was cool. But I was like, dude, I want to do this for a living. I don't want it to just be like, you know, the 5 minutes of my days, you know, trying to get laughs. I want that to be the majority of my day. And it can happen. If you're meant to do this shit, I think you'll find a way to it, is what I'm saying. In a roundabout way. If you're meant to do this shit, you'll find a way to it. You know? And if you feel like you need to be doing it, I'm telling you, and everybody could say I started when I was 27, man. 27, and that's old in many careers. That's old, dude. You can't start when you're 27. Comedy, man, kids start when they're 18, 19. Everyone's got their own path, and I always say, I'm glad I started when I did because I had a lot more perspective. I had lived a life a little bit. I kind of knew myself. Not fully, because I still think I'm learning about myself, you know? I still am 100% honest about who I am, you know, or how I feel about things. I still haven't found it all the way. But I know that I was way more of a complete person than when I was fucking 18 or 19 when a lot of other guys started comedy. Yeah. You know, so I think you almost, not that you stop there, but I think when you start comedy, whatever age you are, that's kind of the age you stay at for a long time because you stop. I don't know if you don't, I mean, obviously you're living life and stuff, but I was in comedy clubs so much, and I still am up until before the quarantine, every single night that your kind of regular life stops a little bit. And if you're really serious about comedy, you start doing that all the time. So that becomes your life, which is not that relatable to other people. So like, that's why I think it's important that when you do stand up, if there's comedians listening to this, go out and live in the world. Start doing shit, you know, start doing shit that you wouldn't normally do, you know, or like if someone invites you to an event or something that's not a comedy club, go do that shit because you might get a life experience and then now you have some new material to write from. You know, and I started to realize that after I was in the clubs for years and years and years, and I'm like, damn, man, my material's getting stale, or I'm not having experiences to talk about. All the experiences I am talking about are from before my life in stand-up. Like places I worked, things that happened to me. So that's why I was like, oh, okay, it's important to get out and do that shit. Like this last week, whatever. I've been going fishing a lot, right? One, because there isn't any stand-up to do, so I got shit to do. I can wake up early and go fishing. I went back, redeemed myself with my boy Jay in Malibu. If you listen to the other podcast, I went and made an ass out of myself when I flipped a kayak and lost my second phone in 3 days out on the water. But this time it was dope, man. And we went out there, and I brought my phone back, dude, because you got to face your fears. I brought my fucking phone, and I put that bitch around my neck. But this time I had a waterproof floating case around my neck. I put a life vest on that bitch. You're not going to catch me slipping twice. But I kept myself in the kayak, man. Didn't flip it. It was gorgeous, man. We were fishing, dude. There was dolphins coming. Come on. Dolphins just swimming right there. We're catching calico. Caught the calico, took them straight there, cut them up, filleted them, ate that shit. Delicious, fresh fish, fresh as it gets. So it was great, man. I was just sitting out there thinking how blessed we are to have these things right around us. You know what I mean? You forget that a lot. Again, I'm getting a little corny. And I don't mind it because, dude, it's sometimes important to just sit there, take a breath. And all the anxiety I have, dude, when I'm out there, it's all gone, dude. I'll just be chilling. I'll be like, damn, this is so cool. It's so fun. You just look down. And the ocean's a motherfucking anomaly. Dude, it's insane. If you look down in the ocean, there's so much shit we don't even know down there, dude, because water's crystal clear. So you could see I'm like, kayaking over rocks and stuff and looking down, and there's like all these different species of fish down there. Is this whole other world of stuff we don't even know about, dude, with aliens in that motherfucker. You ever seen an octopus? That's an alien, bro. An octopus is a straight up alien. The shape of the head and everything. I mean, as close as you want to get to an alien that lives on Earth here. The way they camouflage. Have you seen them shits? Woo! In person? You ever ate it? You ever ate an octopus? In the sushi? A little too salty for me, but I like the octopus. I'll eat an octopus. It's salty for me. Right? So that's good, man. Get out, live your life, do the thing. Don't ever regret not starting something. What a perfect time to do it now in the quarantine, Start writing material. Practice in front of the mirror. Dude, I used to practice in front of the mirror before I started, man. When I was 18, I did a few open mics when I was living in Newport Beach with my cousins. It was actually Costa Mesa, Newport border, whatever. And I found out that there was an open mic called Chester Drawers. It was this bar that did an open mic. And it was like right down the street from my place. So I was like, fuck yeah, dog. I'm going to try this out. And I worked at a restaurant called the Daily Grill at the time. And I was like, I wrote like 5 minutes of material and I practiced the shit out of it. And I kept like working the courage up to go to this thing. And then one night I'm like, fuck it. And I wasn't even 21. You had to be 21 to go there. I was like 18, 19. No, I was probably, 18 or 19. I think 19 because I was using my brother's fake ID to get in. So I go up to the door with my 5 minutes of material that I had rehearsed the shit out of in front of a mirror. I remember holding like a deodorant, acting like I was doing the jokes. And so rehearsed, obviously. But it was fun, man. I was like getting, and it was all about my restaurant that I worked at. All about the employees. I do impressions of my coworkers. About my cousins that I live with. He had a dog named Charlie. My cousin Andy had a dog named Charlie that he absolutely loved, but he treated it like a baby. And one of my jokes was, who made up the rule you got to take a deep breath before you talk to a dog? I said, yeah, well, who made up the rule you got to take a deep breath before you talk to a dog or a baby? Which is funny because years down the line, I have that line in my set, and it's, if you don't change your voice when you talk to a dog or a baby, you're a serial killer. So that line, you see how like you'll use everything. There was a line in a book, Born Standing Up, by Steve Martin. One of the first books I read before I started comedy. And if you haven't read it yet, if you're thinking about doing comedy or you're a fan of comedy, read that book. It is beautiful. And what Steve Martin says in there, he says, you'll use every single bit of your life in stand-up. Everything you've done, every little tool you have acquired throughout your life, you'll use it later in stand-up. And it's so weird how like in certain things, it'll pop out and I'll be like, oh shit, that was good that I learned that. Or in a reference that I know, because of the shit I did with cars or like even the audio equipment stuff. Like I'll have a reference for that and I'll be like, oh damn, that's that, I use that in my act, or I use that to get a point across. But he said you'll use it all from when you're a baby to the time you start doing it. So that's it. I forget what I was talking about.
You went from cocaine to inspiring people.
Cocaine to inspiring the people, man. I don't know. I want people to listen. I don't even know what this podcast is yet. I don't even know what this podcast is yet. And the idea was, when I started the podcast, was let me just start doing it. And in my career, if I look back, I could be like, dude, I could have done shit so different. I could have put my stuff out online for years and years before. Everyone's like, dude, where's your shit online? Why don't you have any clips online? And I could have put my shit out. And I chose not to because I was like too precious with my stuff. And I just waited and I held on to it. And now it's like a lot of that shit I'm sick of doing. And it's like I don't even want to do it. And it just lost to time. So what I'll probably do is end up putting it on YouTube at some point. Just be like, hey, dude, this is some throwback shit. Here's from 5 years ago that no one's ever even seen it online. And I think they hopefully will still do well. People will still share it and enjoy it. But that's if I could regret one thing about my career, that would be it, is not being so precious with my shit. But you learn as you go. So I didn't even know that. Now here I am. I'm sitting here. That's why when the podcast was time to start, I had the studio for like a year or something, even longer. And I was just like, oh, I'm on the road. I kept making excuses not to start it. And then finally I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. And here I am talking bullshit. And I don't even know. I'm inspiring people to talk about cocaine. Who fuck knows, man? Until I find what I want to do, when I want to do it, and who I want to do it for. And give me a second, because Doogie's been crying. This is a perfect place to stop it. So we back out here, y'all. Doogie making another appearance. He hasn't been on the podcast for a while. Because Doogie has been kind of couldn't be bothered with us. Right, Doogie? Doogie hasn't been on the podcast for a minute because I think he got annoyed when we'd start doing the podcast because he's got a bed right here, right by my legs. And he used to kick it in there. And I don't know what happened one day. I don't know if I said something, if I offended my little guy. But one day he just stopped coming in here. So Doogie was not there. But I love him so much, man. Gosh. It's so hard not to squeeze the life out of him. I want to squeeze the life out of him. You want to squeeze it? You like to be squeezed? Oh, his breath smells like shit. And I love it. Isn't that weird? When I was a kid, I used to like the smell of gas. When I was a kid, I used to like the smell of cigarettes. Is that a trip or what, dude? Like the pack, I'd open a pack of cigarettes, my mom's cigarettes, and I could smell them. And I like that smell. And to this day, I can't come unless I'm smelling a pack of cigarettes. Disgusting. Yeah, man, there's some certain smells. It's so weird how we have like sense memories of smells. Like last week I was talking about how Irish Spring gives me anxiety when I start smelling the soap because it was like me getting ready, to go to school. And I hated that smell. I hate the smell of a library. Oh my God, you want to give me the fucking heebie-jeebies? Walk into a library, dude, that smell of some stale-ass books, that'll get me nauseous. That smell, dude. And even up until college, dude, I'd go in the library and I'd get sick because I knew it was study time. I used to have mad anxiety about that shit, dude. Schools in general, I don't know if it was because I was an immigrant and I came when I was young, but that shit would make me, that smell of the school would just make me feel weird. What about you, Jared? What kind of smells you got?
Yeah, books. Dude, I didn't learn how to read till I was like in 5th grade.
Damn, fool.
Yeah, so books would fucking super anxiety.
Yeah,
like
right.
When they made you read out loud.
Oh. Hey, pal. You know when you used to read out loud? Here's a little side note for everybody out there, dude. I used to when I knew I was coming up, I'd start reading the shit out of the paragraph I was about to read. Before it got to me, just memorize. I would just start getting it down. And I would read it before. Yeah. So when they called me, I'd be like, okay. And then you start reading it so you had some comfort in knowing, oh, I've already read this shit one time. That was some of the most nervous times of being in school was when they were doing the reading out loud. You mispronounced a word, motherfucker. It was like the world was over. And they got Trump. The best is I just saw a thing of Trump and he pronounced Thailand. He's like, and we are sending out stuff to Thailand and Vietnam. Because he was reading it, and then he goes, Thailand, oh, fuck. He called Yosemite Yosemite. Fool, he was reading it, and he called it Yosemite. That's the president. So, hey, kids out there, it's not the worst thing if you fuck up a word when you're reading out loud. But at the time, you think it's like, you don't want to embarrass yourself. When we learn that humiliation is a bad thing.
That's why I don't like Harry Potter books, bro.
Too many Gangleporf and Bangalgarks.
Because we would have the read out loud for Harry Potter, and that shit brings me so anxiety. I don't even want to.
Well, dude, there are so many words you don't even know in that book
that were even fake. Like now, I know that she made them up. So how am I supposed to read it correctly when you made it up?
I don't know, bro, but I'll tell you one thing. JR. It's about that time. It's about that time. Today, I don't know what we're smoking, to be honest with you. This was in a jar. And that jar was labeled Face on Fire. No joke. From some weed. Sometimes, we'll go to do these shows and they'll give you a sack of gifts. And in this gift sack was a jar of some weed, and it was called Face on Fire. And I found it in my cabinetry. When I was about to do the podcast, I go, what am I going to smoke today? Because it always is fun to smoke a little weed and get a little creative or weird or think about something that you would have normally not thought about. And I'm really bad, dude, at taking compliments. I think that's a common thing for comics, maybe. But whenever someone says, hey, man, good job, I'll be like, no, when I fucked up this, and I'll start explaining away that what they just saw was good.
Yeah.
It's like some sort of sickness I have with that shit. Like, I can't take a compliment when someone gives it to me when I know I didn't do the absolute best I could have done or something like that, which is so weird. It's like, just take the fucking compliment and keep it moving. I've talked people out of, they just watched a good show a billion times.
Yeah.
All the time, dude. I'll be like, no, but that other bit, I didn't hit like it normally does. I mean, that's another reason why my material isn't online. It was always like, I could do that better. I could do it better. And then I have a homie, Romeo Marquez, who's a motivational speaker. Shout out to Romeo. I love him. College friend, really good college friend, college roommate at some point too. And he is a motivational speaker now. His mentor is like Jack Canfield, the chicken soup for the soul, soup, soul, soup. You know that guy? The chicken soul for the soup? Chicken soup for the soul? Oh, yeah. Okay. Here we go. That we did just Face on Fire. It works, man. So anyway, my boy Romeo has his mantra. It's time. He does like seminars on it. He does speaking engagements, speaks at colleges, everything, dude. Like goes to corporate gigs and talks to them about getting motivated and doing whatever. But it's all about it's time. So I would talk to him, dude, and he was like, done is better than perfect. And I'm a motherfucking perfectionist when it comes to stuff. And I just recently have I been like, dude, I just got to put it out. Let me just put it out without it being absolutely 1,000% perfect. Because I will work on something and then I'll just tell myself that it's not good enough and I'll just stop it midway through, 3/4 of the way through, and then I just won't put it out. And I do that a lot. Over analytical and overthink a lot of shit.
I read some shit where they said the more you do that, the more you're likely to keep doing that.
Oh, yeah.
To not finish.
100%. That's why there's the podcast took me forever. That's why a lot of my shit's not online. That's why I'm not always on social media. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh, that's not good. I'm gonna put this post. I don't. And do I care enough to do that? And I didn't want at some point knowing how I am with that. Like it started to bother me so much that I didn't want to waste my time doing it. Do you know what I mean? Then it's like it just turns you off of it. It turns you off of doing that. So that's why I don't like social media. One, I don't like every bit of my life being on the thing. And two, it's like that shit. I'd go like, I don't want to put this out. And then I get overwhelmed with that shit because there's so many options. How do I make it the best I can make it? That's what I'm thinking. It's time. It's time, motherfucker. It's time. Way chalupatatines. I had a really good time talking this episode and opening up. I guess by the end of these, you'll really know who I am. And if you're a fan or a friend or a lover, you'll get to know more about me, which I think is interesting because you get to see a side of me maybe that I wouldn't show in any other respects of how I handle my life. Like, I'm going to come out of the closet when I'm 85. I already made up my mind there. I always thought that was so funny to come out then. Be like, fuck it. But it's like funny because like as you get older, you start to realize like, dude, none of this stuff matters, that what you care about, what other people, because ultimately at the end of the day, people care about their own shit so much more than somebody else's. As you get older, you just learn that, hey, I'm just going to be the way that I am. And it sucks that it takes you so long to get to that part. You know what I mean? When a lot of times before that, you'll try to pretend to be somebody or try to act a certain way. But they say, what is it? Be yourself. There's no one else like it.
You're just reaching to like 14-year-old shit that they told you in class.
Oh my God, that's too good. Bro, that is too good. Well, that's another thing, though. Here's another thing about the podcast is that I hope, like, it's not just a pointless podcast. It's that I hope that people that are listening, they either get help from it, they either get motivated by it, or they just get enjoyment out of the fucking thing, So it's like, why are you doing a podcast if it's self-serving, which to some extent it is. I'm not going to lie. I'm doing the podcast because I don't have stand-up to do. So this is a way of me just talking and getting some ideas out, or even just talking into a mic, because I've lived my life in a way that now I almost need this thing, So I've felt deprived for months now that I don't have a outlet for that. So that's the self-serving part. But the other part is exactly what I said: either help people, inspire people, or just entertain people with this thing. So if it's doing that, I hope then I'm headed in the right direction. So that's what it is, man. I know sometimes it sounds like I'll just be like talking about fucking nothing, but hopefully we try to get to a point where it's like it means something to you, or, oh, okay, that's why he said this, or whatever. And even if it doesn't, who gives a fuck? And I try to be good about it. Like, one thing is I'll edit the podcast and I try to be good about, oh, would I want to hear this part? And if I wouldn't want to hear it, that's the only time I'd cut it out. Do you know what I'm saying? So there is a lot of times where I'll make a cut, but it'll be because that section was boring. So this will be cut out. I'm going to leave it just to show you guys. JR came in here today, all right, wearing these jeans. They're like jean shorts, and the bottom of them looks like, while he was coming up the stairs to my house, a fucking leopard attacked his ass and went, and just ate about 3/4 of the way up his leg from the knee. So he's got these booty short jeans on that some like Daisy Dukes would wear, from Dukes of Hazzard. And he's over here telling me I look like a lion that was a person. Sarah told me I look like a lion that's a person.
I was giving you a compliment.
That's from Iran. That is actually a pretty good compliment.
That was a compliment,
because
you took your glasses and your hat off, and you just gave the vibe of you're a lion.
Now I could tell that you were lying. And you're going back, dog. I could see what I look like. I look like a Muppet, dog. Like, I look like a Muppet that didn't get hired. Like, I went to Sesame Street. I was like, her. And they're like, nah, we'll take that one. Grouch, you're in. Hey, who the fuck is that guy? Hey, you don't want. And I'm a reject, dude. They're like, hey, no, you go start a podcast. We already got our guys. We don't need any more. Big Bird, go on in. Get this guy the fuck out of my office. And you're dealing with a guy that's been told that many times. You're dealing with a guy that's been told, get him out of my office. Not even to me. They haven't even said it to me. They've looked at another person. This is when you know a fucking guy's crazy. Is when he hasn't been told, get out of my office. This person has looked at another person and gone, hey, get him out of my office. Because they don't think that I would even listen if they told me. That's who you're dealing with. inappropriate all the time. I love that I just did this. This was my dad. The biggest dismissive move. You want to feel like you're this big? Have my dad do this to you. Go. Not even like make eye contact almost with the most disgusted face on the planet and just go get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of. My brother retold. I could just see my dad doing it, dude. Doesn't like to be clowned. Doesn't like to be talked to. Just go to the next guy. So I do that. Me and my brother do that all the time. Like if one of us is talking to the other and you don't want to, like he asks you a dumb question or you don't want to answer whatever he said, you go, just go to the next guy.